Imagine yourself sitting inside a tiny cell in Tokyo. All around you is a space measuring just a few square meters. There's a sink, a toilet, a small table, and the bed. That is your entire world. Every morning you wake up at 7 and you go to bed again at 9. Day after day, month after month, year after year, the same routine continues. But do you know what the most terrifying part is? You have no idea which day will be your last. Yes, you heard that right. On any morning, the door could suddenly open. Then you could be dragged away to the execution chamber. There is no advance warning and no time to prepare yourself. This is Japan's death penalty system, a system that many around the world have described as an evil design. Today, almost all developed countries have either abolished the death penalty or stopped using it. But among the world's major developed nations, only 2 countries still maintain the death penalty: the United States and Japan. At least America openly talks about its death penalty system. But Japan kept the entire process secret for years. The world had to wait until 2010 before the real face of Japan's terrifying execution system began to be revealed for the first time. Now, let's talk about a real case. On July 26, 2022, a man named Takahiro Kata was sitting inside a cell at the Tokyo Detention Center. 14 years earlier, he had killed 7 people and injured another 10. In 2011, a court sentenced him to death. From that moment on, Kato spent every morning living with a strange kind of fear. He knew he would eventually be executed, but no one would tell him when or on which day it would happen. Every morning when he woke up, he wondered, is today the day? While eating lunch, he wondered, could this be my last meal? Because in Japan, death row prisoners are not told in advance when their execution will take place. At any moment, on any morning, their cell door can suddenly open. Guards can walk in and simply say, "Come with us, it's time." They may receive only a few hours of notice, but the question is, why such cruelty? The Japanese government's argument is that this system supposedly helps prisoners maintain their mental stability. Officials have argued that if prisoners are told the exact date of their execution too far in advance, they may become terrified and attempt suicide. Many people also defend the system as a form of justice. Their argument is simple: murderers did not tell their victims in advance when they were going to die. So why should murderers be told the exact time of their own deaths? But human rights organizations directly describe the practice as inhumane. Now, listen to the story of a man named Menda Sakai. This man spent 34 years living under this uncertainty. For 34 years, every morning he woke up wondering whether that day might be his last. In 1983, a horrifying truth finally came to light. Sakai was innocent, but by then, 12,410 mornings had already passed. Every one of those mornings had been filled with fear and anxiety. An even more shocking example is the story of Hakamada Iwao. He was released in 2014 because it was discovered that evidence against him had been fabricated. This man spent 45 years on death row. He became known as the world's longest-serving death row prisoner. Now let's go a little deeper. Why is Japan's death penalty system so unusual? In America, the history of the death penalty is deeply connected to racism, the divide between black and white people, and the legacy of slavery. But Japan does not have that same racial history. And the real issue is that a huge portion of the Japanese population supports the death penalty. When surveys are conducted, the overwhelming majority of people say that the death penalty should remain in place. Another interesting fact is that Japan's murder rate is much lower than that of the United States and Europe. Even so, Japan executes murderers at a rate comparable to the United States. In 2018, Japan executed 15 prisoners. 7 of them were members of the terrifying Aum Shinrikyo cult. All of them were executed around the same period in a coordinated series of executions. But the biggest difference can be found in Japan's judicial system. In America, sentencing someone to death involves a very complicated process. First, there's a trial. Is the person guilty or innocent? The jury must reach the required level of agreement. Then there's another phase to determine the punishment. Again, the required level of agreement must be reached. But in Japan, a majority vote can be enough in the lay judge system. Imagine there's a panel of 9 people. 5 people say you're guilty and believe you deserve the death penalty. The other 4 say you're completely innocent. Even with such a close vote, a death sentence can still be imposed. Now let's describe that terrifying day. The morning of July 26, 2022. Kato was sitting inside his cell. Suddenly, he noticed that there was much more noise than usual outside his door. His heart began to pound. Is today the day? Yes, that was the day. His door opened, the guards came in and took him to a prayer room. There, a religious advisor gave him one final opportunity to pray. Kato wrote his will. Then, he may have eaten some food and smoked another cigarette. After that, he was taken to another small room. There was a small altar inside. If the prisoner was Buddhist, there would be a Buddhist statue. If the prisoner was Christian, there would be a cross. There, the warden read the execution order to him. For the final time, Kato looked towards a blue curtain covering the room next door. The guards approached him. They covered his eyes with a white cloth. Then they placed a black hood over his head. His hands were handcuffed behind his back. His legs were also restrained. Kato could no longer see anything. Then he was taken into the final execution chamber. In America, the death penalty can be carried out using lethal injection, but in Japan, executions are carried out by hanging. In the center of the room, 2 red squares are marked on the floor. This is where the prisoner is positioned. Kato stood there. Beneath his feet was a trapdoor that could suddenly open. Now comes the most terrifying part. 3 officers entered the room next door. They could not see Kato. In front of them were 3 buttons. All 3 looked exactly the same. But here's the disturbing part. Pressing 2 of them would do nothing. Pressing the 3rd button would open the trap door. Now the question is, which button is the kill switch? None of the 3 officers knows. This way, the responsibility is divided among 3 people. No single person can say that they were solely responsible for the death. And do you know how much each officer is paid for carrying out such a horrifying task? Only 20,000 yen. Throughout the execution, several officials observe the process. A medical officer then waits for about 5 minutes to confirm the prisoner's death. Afterward, the body is cleaned and prepared. The family is notified. If the family wants the body, they can take it. If they do not, the government arranges for cremation. In the case of some famous prisoners, even their ashes have been kept in state custody. A shocking fact is that before 2007, the Japanese government didn't even publicly reveal the names of executed prisoners. Everything was kept secret. Who was executed? When were they executed? Almost nothing was publicly known. However, there are currently around 106 prisoners in Japan waiting for execution. Every morning they wake up wondering, could today be my last day? The most recent prisoner to be executed was Kato, who had set fire to a building and killed 36 innocent people. However, you also have to consider the other side of the argument. Many people believe that if punishments were not this severe, Japan might not be as peaceful as it is today. That is why some people argue that what Japan is doing should be followed by every country in the world. But what do you think?